story of how you two first met and what were your initial thoughts and feelings for each other.
We were members of the Unification Church where we have arranged marriages, and I completely lived as a sister with all men since I know the Divine Principle. And I was really grateful for that. And in 1980, I was invited to the New Yorker Hotel in New York to come for matching. And there were several thousand people in the big ballroom. And Father Moon spoke first, and it was already midnight when he started matching. And first he asked those who had birthdays on that new day to stand up, and there were 3 couples. He matched them first. And my husband later reflected, this means we are not doing anything for being born, and also actually matching, we are really receiving this as a gift from true parents. Then after those birthday, Reverend Moon asked for the missionaries to stand up and for the brothers to line up on one side and the sisters on another side. And the next question was, who wants to be matched to a missionary? And I had not paid so much attention because True Mother had just entered the room, and I hadn't seen True Mother in a long time, so I kind of was focused on observing her. But then when I saw Father moving, I realized, wow, he must be looking for missionary, for those who want to be matched with a missionary. And then I realized, I always wanted to be a missionary. That is for me, I need to raise my hand. So I raised my hand, and by the time Father Moon had come towards the back of the room where I was sitting, and right away he asked me to come to the aisle where he was walking. And then he asked another sister, and then he took me by the arm like this, and then he walked with us 2 sisters to the front, and my husband was first in line. And then he pushed me to my husband. And so then there was a room, there was a balcony in that ballroom upstairs, and that was the place where we could discuss if we can accept this matching or not. And so we went to that place up there, and then I actually went to the matching with the idea, no matter who Father Moon matches me with, I will accept it and I will make it work. So I didn't prepare any question or anything. I was just open. But anyway, my husband, he had some questions. I let you share his perspective.
While Father was talking and while we were there, my game plan was not to try and second guess Father. So I didn't want to look at a sister. I didn't want to I didn't want to have that in my mind. And then Father had asked the missionaries to stand up, and then he went out looking for, as my wife said, potential matches. And then when Father was coming back in the aisle down the middle, he was kind of leading my wife down the aisle. And at that point, my game plan just went out the window, and I'm looking at this woman, and I know she's my wife. Father hasn't said anything, and I'm just watching her come up the aisle, and I keep looking at her, and I'm just wondering, what is she like? How tall? What's she like? And I keep looking at her, and then Father stands right in front of us, with my wife holding her arm, and I'm still not looking at Father. I'm not saying thank you. I just ignore Father because I know she's my wife. Nothing is spoken, but I know it, and Father knows I know it, and it's all this communication that just goes on kind of spontaneously from the heart. And so then I think Father got a little bit upset in a good way, and he looked at me and he slapped me on the face. Oh, you're the guy thank you. So I had done that. We went upstairs, and I had prepared 3 questions for my wife. The first 2 will shock people. And the third one makes sense. The first question I asked my wife is, do you like garlic? And it's not a romantic question that you're going to ask your future spouse at some point, but the reason I asked is because I really like garlic, and I just really do, and I don't know, it's not going to break, it's not a make or break, it's just, can we get along together? And she said, yeah, it's okay. I thought, all right, well, that's good. And the second question is, when you sleep, do you want the fan on or off? And she's going, she didn't understand what the question is. And, it was kind of either way. But from my perspective, because I was at that time a missionary in Pakistan for the last 5 years, then from my perspective, if the fan is on, then it creates wind and the mosquito can't land and can't bite. And so you don't get malaria. But because the fan is on, you catch a cold. So I'm asking her, do you want malaria or do you want a cold? She didn't understand, and I didn't explain more. She said, it's okay. The third question was kind of the only thing I could think to ask in terms of how deep is her life of faith? And I asked simply, how long have you been in this church? And if it's been a long time, then I think, yeah, that's good, because it's not easy to be in this church. It requires a sacrifice. But if somebody's willing to sacrifice, that's good. So I'm asking that basically, will you make the sacrifice by asking how long you've been in the church? She said 5 years. And okay, good. I was, of course, willing to accept anyway at that point. If she had said like 1 or 2 years, then I don't know. I can't say no, but I can't say yes. It's just still young. But 5 years, that's good. That's a good time. So then that was kind of the first encounter that we had up in the balcony after Father matched us.
And then we came down, we had to sign our name in a book and then bow to true parents. That means we accepted the matching. And then we were engaged for 1.5 years before the blessing. Yeah. Actually, many people came up to me and said, wow, you got such a good husband. And so many people knew him. He's very tall compared to me. Actually, one time after we met, soon afterwards, he said to me, did you grow already? So I could tell he has a good sense of humor. And he let me sew something for his pants. I think he needed his pants shortened or something. I remember sewing something for him. I was happy about that and did it for him. And I remember going to a restaurant together, eating together food. But then when the bill came, he was not happy about it. He wasn't happy about the food he didn't want to pay the full price. I was surprised about that. But I'm a kind of person who does not speak so easily. And so anyway, I just observed and little by little we got to know each other. Actually, soon after he went back to Pakistan and I stayed in America. And we just wrote letters to each other. And it took 2 weeks for one letter to get there and one letter to come back. So sometimes the letters crossed. That was our communication. I was always looking forward to his letters. And one thing was very nice. We had 3 years separation period. And so as soon as 3 years were finished, he wanted to start family. And so even though I was fundraising, I had to take time off and come to the New York hotel, and we had our 3-day ceremony there. And then somehow after the 3-day ceremony, a long time, I didn't get a letter from Pakistan. He went back to Pakistan, I went back to fundraising. And I was wondering if he likes me or not. But anyway, finally a letter came and everything was okay. Yeah.
So silence is not golden. Let's say that. Not really one particular moment where we kind of realized that, she is the one, because again, I think we went into a relationship not thinking that the success of the relationship doesn't depend on her or who she is, but it really depends on me and my commitment. And then if you've got two people willing to make that commitment, your relationship is going to work. It will work. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and it won't be, but it will work. And so you'll never cross the line, you know, should we, shouldn't we have, will we divorce? That never came in our minds. It doesn't come up. So there's no real moment. It's just been continually growing, I think, deeper and deeper in love with each other and understanding and, you know, more appreciation for each other as we grow more and more together. So.
One thing I remember, I wanted to be blessed already, matched in 1978, I think. There was a matching in London. And originally I was invited, but then they said, no, I'm too young. You have to be 24, I think, in order to be, and I hadn't reached that age, so I couldn't go. And then there was, and he was supposed to go to that matching, but he couldn't get a ticket, and he did not go there also. And then there was another matching, I think, and somehow he also did not get to that matching, and I did not go there either. So only finally when we were both together in the grand ballroom, then we got matched. Anyway, in 2018, I found a book called The Surrendered Wife. And when I started looking at this, I felt, wow, this has lots of good advice for marriage relationship.
I'm looking for the book Surrendered Husband.